I have a confession to make. I don't like the term full-time artist, and we're going to talk about it today because as someone whose creative career is incredibly important to her, myself, and perhaps you too, I was inspired to make this video because I saw someone send me a message through Instagram and they said something like, my goal is to be a full-time artist just like you, and oh my gosh, so sweet, so kind. But it really reminded me of a younger version of myself that wanted that too. I wanted it so badly. I wanted that badge of honor, full-time artist. Woo! Make way, folks, full-time artist coming through. And even when I'm at art markets, every so often I will get people that come up to me and ask me that question, like, do you do this full time? It's a question of curiosity for a lot of onlookers, and it's a trophy on the pedestal for a lot of artists. Artists who get that trophy get to use the title in their videos for more views, and artists who don't have it get to chase it. And the problem with the term full-time artist, it doesn't actually do anything constructive or meaningful because it's not specific enough to describe a goal that's attainable. So let's take the term full-time artist off the pedestal, because a better goal than full-time artist is a creative life. So, I gotta level with you here. I think it's time to stop using the term full-time artist. I really don't think that this term does anything constructive or helpful, and can even be harmful in your pursuit to build your creative career. And so when you see videos saying, I'm a full-time artist, and then you're like, oh my gosh, that's what I want, it's very possible, in fact highly likely, that they have a life you wouldn't want to live. And I'm not saying that to discourage you, because you know in your heart that there's a life out there for you that is exactly what you want. What I'm talking about here is thinking that other people have exactly what you want, because your life for you is going to be very specific and custom tailored to all of your strengths. All of your strengths and weaknesses are very particular and unique to you, and so if you try to base your life on what someone else has, you're always going to end up feeling like you're falling short, like you're disappointed, because you're not actually pursuing your own life, you're pursuing someone else's. And so when you look up online,
dear internet, how do I become a full-time artist?
You often get pointed in like 10 or 20 different directions because it's not specific. The term full-time artist is just not specific enough. For example, an attainable goal for a creative career sounds like, I want a business selling original oil paintings through gallery representation, artist grants, or artist residencies. Or, I want a business selling a mix of limited edition fine art prints and original paintings through art markets, art fairs, and in-person events. Or, I want a career as a pet portrait artist, where most of my clients comes from friends of friends or people that I meet locally in my area. You notice how I can keep going on and on and on, right? And each one of these goals requires a very different approach. Some goals on this list are more geared towards people who like to socialize, and other goals are more suited towards introverts. Some of them are more production-based. For instance, in my own art business, I do so much in the production of the product, and I personally enjoy that because I, weirdly enough, like monotonous tasks where I do the same thing over and over. It's very tactile, it's very relaxing to me, so I enjoy that. Other people don't, and so they outsource their products to another company who then ships it out to the customer. Some art styles are more fine art, contemporary art, and others are more designer based. And so in every single one of these things are technically full-time artists. And so when you think that's it, that's the life that I want so badly, but you don't see what's behind the scenes required for it, it can cause you to think you're setting good specific goals for yourself, but you're actually not. Because every single full-time artist vlog that you click on for inspiration will be pointing you in a different direction. And that will just leave you feeling very confused and lost, and you'll think that it's you. You'll blame yourself for that. You'll be like, oh, I just have no direction. I don't know if I can do this. When in reality, you need not to trust the world more, trust other people's paths more, but you need to trust yourself more. You need to trust your own instincts more. So let's take the term full-time artist off the pedestal, because a better goal than full-time artist is a creative life. If you're new here, my name is Jen Carmiel and I paint the small joys in life. I also rant about life every now and then, so welcome to a very long video series about art, art encouragement, art business. It's all right here. Welcome. So how did we get here? What's to blame for my long-standing feud with the term full-time artist? So let me set the stage for you. 2 years ago, I was forced to seriously reevaluate my life. I had this extremely toxic 9 to 5 that I was working after art school, which led me to stop painting entirely for 2 full years. And overall, I just knew that I was very unhappy with my life, and I knew that something needed to change. So the situation that led to me leaving my full-time job wasn't necessarily the trumpets blaring, confetti pouring moment of, oh my gosh, I finally did it. You know, like when you post on social media and you're like, I left my job for art, people often assume that it's because you have the revenue to support that decision. And honestly, at that time I didn't. It was a huge risk for me to make. I'm not gonna lie there. And I don't necessarily encourage everyone to do what I did because it could have gone wrong. But bottom line, I took a serious step back from my life and I said, whoa, something went wrong here. I don't recognize myself, I don't like my life, and I cannot keep doing this anymore, so something has to change. And it was actually my therapist who encouraged me to pursue my art career. And for 3 months, I lived off my savings, painting like crazy, binging videos of people who held that highly coveted title, full-time artist. And I don't know exactly when I realized it, but in the long months of struggling to feel like I was good enough to make it as an artist, I had this realization. And the realization was, I will never be happy if I continue to wait for this achievement, this plaque, full-time artist, to suddenly arrive in the mail one day, as if this title will deliver me my happiness and fulfillment. Because one, that would just take way too long. Imagine spending like 5 years building up your art career, and in those 5 years you're absolutely miserable, and then once you get there, you're like, oh, now I can celebrate. Now I finally have the thing that I've been working towards. Look, you look me in the eyes and tell me if that's the life that you want. I don't know. It's not the life I want. I don't know. Like, I thought to myself, there has got to be a better way at living life than just waiting for the thing you want to get there. There's got to be a way to enjoy the here and now, enjoy the journey of me building this castle, so to say, the castle that would become my art career. And for me, the solution to all of that anxiety towards my art career, all that stress, the pressure, all of that was alleviated the moment I stopped chasing the title full-time artist. I switched, I changed this term, and I started calling myself instead a working artist, a professional artist, because I was selling my work. I might not have the revenue to like say full-time artist yet, but it's true that I am a working artist, and even with the supporting revenue now, I prefer to continue calling myself a working artist, because the term full-time artist also creates this weird hierarchy amongst artists and creatives that cause you to like compete with each other in this weird way. Like, I don't know, I'm not about the life of competition. I once talked to a friend who was another vendor at an art market, and we were talking together about this one market that I vend at, and she was like, oh, maybe I should try it. Oh, but I won't be near you, you know, like I won't be your competition. And I'm like, girl, we're not competition here. At least that's my personal opinion when it comes to artwork. I don't think that artists compete with each other. It's the fact that there's only one you that can create the art that you do that makes it so there's no real and true competition amongst yourselves. Like, it's not like we're selling like bands for wristwatches here. We are selling hope and desire. We are selling thoughts, commentary, philosophies. Like, people think that art is just color on a canvas, but it's more than that. It's the connection and the thought process, the emotional experience that someone has when they look at it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. You tell me your thoughts on artists being in competition with each other. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an optimist and I'm like, we can all win, girly. I don't know. It's just my own side tangent. But bottom line, in pursuit of your art career, you really want to put your own happiness and fulfillment at the forefront of all of your goals, whatever that looks like for you. And trust that the financial aspect will reward you in its own time. So let's replace the goal of being a full-time artist with the goal to be a happy working artist. When you can shift your language this way, success becomes so much more manageable. It helps you celebrate your small wins. Rather than waiting for you to climb all the way to the top of the mountain for you to like say, oh, I did it, you can celebrate every single step up the mountain you go, and that makes the journey so much more enjoyable. You sell one painting, congrats, you're a working artist. You sit down to work on your painting series, ooh, look at you, working artist, here you go. You applied for an open call for art, That's my bestie right there, of real working artist. When you can keep your spirits high this way, when you can celebrate your small wins, you stand a much better chance of sticking it out long enough when someone else might have quit. And that's so important too, because you see, the only things that you see online whenever you're trying to research how to achieve the goals that you want, you only ever see the person after they've crossed the finish line, or at least that's the way you perceive them to be. And so you think to yourself, like, you almost see this huge gap. At least this was my own experience when I wanted to become a full-time artist, like, quote unquote. It felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff and there was this huge abyss between me and the life that I wanted, and I had no idea how to build that bridge. I kept thinking to myself, like, how do they become that other thing? I didn't realize that I had everything within me to already be that. I had the potential to make artwork, put it in front of people, and ask for the sale. I had that potential to show up for myself. I had the potential to make the art that I wanted to make. But because I gave this success a different label, it felt so separate from me. And the goal to getting the life that you want is just eliminating that separation and remembering that you have everything you will ever need right within yourself. I'm gonna just sit with that for a minute. I think another aspect of this full-time artist whole thing is sometimes you think like you have to struggle really hard to get things that matter a lot, but this is honestly not the case. Like, you can accomplish really great things in life with such an unserious attitude. And honestly, that makes it so much easier and more fun if you almost like approach your life like it's a video game. Like the other day, oh my gosh, I'm gonna tell you something right now. Last week, I had my first fail with shipping artwork and it like stressed me out so much, but instead of allowing it to stress me out, I sort of approached it as this like video game like moment. So for the first time in my life, I always use tracking on my packages, and for the first time in my life I had shipped something and it was something small, and I ship my small joys all the time and I haven't had something go missing, knock on wood. And so I was just like, oh, I'll ship this the same way that I ship my small joys. Nope. The one time I didn't use tracking, I had the customer reach back out to me, hey, I haven't got it yet, where's the tracking information? And I was just like, no. And so what I said is I said something along the lines of, thank you so much for reaching out. It looks like it did ship. Here's the receipt for it shipping. It should have arrived yesterday. Unfortunately, at a second look, it looks like I didn't include tracking. So what I'm going to do is ship it out today via UPS. And instead of letting myself get fixated on, oh my gosh, I made a mistake, I'm a bad business owner, I can't, like, you know, you can kind of get into this spiral of, I did a bad thing. And instead, I thought to myself, oh, look at me. This was my first shipping mishap that I was able to navigate successfully. You know, and I also gave them an extra print and a greeting card in their package as a thank you during the delay. So instead of focusing on the thing that went wrong, I was able to celebrate my overcoming of that obstacle. And you really do have to make this shift into being very open with compassion for yourself, and honestly, like this openness to make mistakes, because there's no one in this world that doesn't make mistakes. And if you are so afraid of making those mistakes that you're not going to try, that is what's going to be that thing that just like holds you back. And you've got to let go of that control, and you've got to say things are going to happen. And I am a confident, capable, cool person who will deal with those things when they happen. But that was a side tangent off the real story that I wanted to tell you. You can actually accomplish great things in your life with such an unserious attitude. I'm going to tell you a story right now about this thing that happened to me, and I honestly, in the moment, it made me really mad, but just you wait. So a bit of lore for you. I used to play the cello when I was 4 years old throughout the rest of my life, and when I was in college, I played a little bit in the orchestra and the cello studio there for one semester. It was a really great time, and there was this time when I was playing what felt like the hardest excerpt I've ever played in my life, and I was in a cello studio session, which means I was with my professor and he was sort of guiding me through playing this passage of music, and I was starting to get so mad when I was playing. I was starting to get so frustrated, so visibly frustrated, because I just felt like I could not play it, and I started to have this internal monologue of, this is so hard, I can't do this. This is so hard, I can't do this. And you want to know what my cello professor said to me in that moment? He said, and I kid you not, this looks so easy for you. And he had this very calm demeanor, like he almost like embodied the feeling of ease in front of me, because it could have easily gone wrong. It could have felt like you're making fun of me, like, oh, this is easy for you. No, he had a very calm demeanor. He embodied ease and comfort, and he said, this looks so easy for you. And in that moment, like, I was mad because I was like, what do you mean easy? Like, this is so hard. What part of this looks easy to you? And I didn't say any of that, of course, but the day passed. Time marches on, as they say, and something crazy happened, because the next time I was playing music, this time I was playing guitar, I came across a very difficult passage, and my instinct was to get frustrated and tell myself, this is so hard, I can't do this. And it was replaced with a new voice. I could hear the voice of my cello professor saying, this looks so easy for you, this is so easy. And I felt my body relax. I felt myself like take a deep breath, and then I played the passage of music. Like, just let that sink in for a second. Like, we take our thoughts so seriously sometimes, and in reality, they are just echoes of the words that other people have said to us, the attitudes of other people, their limiting beliefs, what they believe is possible for them, and it becomes this soundtrack that just repeats in your head unconsciously. You think that there is like this weight to your thoughts, like that they mean something about the world, that they mean the truth about the world, when in reality it's just you repeating cycles of what you observe, and you can choose what you observe. When we think thoughts, we think that they are accurate or truthful reflections of our world, but it's entirely possible that it's just a reflection of this one thing a mean dude said to you at school one time, or someone else in your life that didn't believe in you, and you do not have to hold on to their voice anymore. I didn't realize it in the moment that it happened, but my cello professor did something amazing for me. He offered me a new voice, a new echo in the craziness that is my head for the next time that I approached a challenge. Instead of this same old thought, this is so hard, I can't do this, I had a new option. I could think, this is so easy for you. The thing is, a lot of times we think we don't have control over our thoughts or how hard or easy something is, and I'll be real, there is some element of skill to it. Like, there will always be some aspect of struggle there, but you don't have to let the struggle be the most important thing in your thoughts. When you feed so much into the struggle, it can almost be like you're powering up the struggle. There's a saying called, when you worry, you worship the problem. And I'm not saying it's super easy to shift your thoughts this way. I'm just saying that this is one more thing to be aware of. There's a book called Soundtracks by John Acuff, which talks about this concept very, very well. If you are an overthinker, or if you want to learn to have more control of your thoughts, highly recommend that book. When I was fixated on being a quote-unquote full-time artist, it felt like I was fighting against myself, against all the noise, chasing something that was on the other side of this mountain that had so much separation between me and who I was now, and like I needed to become something completely different in order to have a life that was happy for me. But that wasn't the truth. The truth was there were small changes I could make in my life today to make it happier for me, and learn to appreciate and notice the good in my life already. I realized I needed to stop playing this game of cat and mouse with my life. I needed to find joy where it exists in front of me, whatever that means for me. And if that means that I let go of idolizing this concept of being a full-time artist, if I accept that right now I am a working artist and doing what I can in my life to build a meaningful career for me, that's enough. I decided that all I need to be happy is to make room in my life to be creative. Period. I wanted opportunities to monetize my creative pursuits, sure, but I'm not going to rush those goals. I'm going to be here, arms open like an invitation, saying, hey world, I'm an artist, here's my art. Whenever it feels good and ready for you, you can come and have some of it. Achieving my goals in my art career was always really important to me, of course, but I decided it would never be the most important thing. I needed to take that off the pedestal and remember that I am not the castle, I'm the builder. There's this really incredible excerpt from the book Untamed by Glennon Doyle, and I still get chills when I even remember about reading it. And honestly, the first time I read it, I cried because I listened to this book while driving to my 9 to 5, and I was just like, wow, this hits so hard. So I'm gonna read it to you because I think it'll really change the way that you think about success. So this book, Untamed by Glennon Doyle, is a memoir. It's like a collection of short little writings about her own life and journeys to become the person that she wants to be in her life. Highly recommend this book as well. You can tell I'm a reading girly, can't you? But this excerpt was specifically written about a woman losing herself in relation to who she is to other people. And as a woman, I can relate to that aspect too, but I also want to encourage you to think about this analogy of losing yourself in relationship to your career, losing yourself in relationship to anything in your life. Ask a woman who she is, and she will tell you who she loves, who she serves, and what she does. I am a mother, a wife, a sister, a friend, a career woman. The fact that we define ourselves by our roles is what keeps the world spinning. It's also what keeps us untethered and afraid. If a woman defines herself as a wife, what happens if her partner leaves? If a woman defines herself as a mother, what happens when the kids leave for college? If a woman defines herself as a career woman, what happens when the company folds? Who we are is perpetually being taken from us, so we live in fear instead of peace. We cling too tightly, close our eyes to what we need to look at, avoid hard questions that need to be asked, and in a million ways insist to our friends, partners, and children that the purpose of their existence is to define us. We build sandcastles and then try to live inside them, fearing the inevitable tide. Answering the question, who do I love, is not enough. We must live lives of our own. To live a life of her own, each woman must answer, what do I love? What makes me come alive? What is beauty to me? And when do I take time to fill up with it? Who is the soul beneath all of these roles? Each woman must answer these questions now, before the tide comes. Sandcastles are beautiful, but we cannot live inside them because the tide rises. That's what the tide does. We must remember, I am the builder, not the castle. I'm separate and whole. Over here, eyes on the horizon, sun on my shoulders, welcoming the tide. Building, rebuilding, playfully, lightly, never changing, always changing. Oh, Glennon Doyle, what a way with words. And so when you think about building your art career for yourself, I really want to encourage you to remember that you are the builder, not the castle. You are not defined by the circumstances of what you perceive to be failure or success. My first ever print drop, I only sold 2 art prints. One to my best friend and one to a friend I knew from college. And I had spent over like $170 pre-ordering a bunch of prints. And I could go on and on and on with a hallway of failures in my first year trying to make it as a working artist. And I could have gotten down about those circumstances. I definitely did for like a period of time, but I didn't let it keep me down. It's important to feel your feelings in those moments when you're having them, because you're building something so important and you're honestly doing something very difficult. I know I just said we shouldn't think of things as difficult, but I also don't want to discount that this is so much work to do, right? Like this is meaningful in the way that when you train really hard to run a marathon, that's the kind of work this is. Anytime things don't pan out, you must offer yourself compassion and celebrate just having the strength to try. See, so many people start down paths that are important to them just to give up when they get scared out of it, when the doubt starts to become too much, when the noise of the outside world gets loud enough that they start to question if they can even do it. And your only job is to make sure your dedication, your strength, your resilience, your belief in yourself is always stronger than the noise is loud. When that noise comes and it feels like it might be loud enough to drown you out, you take a deep breath and you remember yourself. You say, oh, this is so easy for me. Do you feel how easy it is to be an artist, to be creative in this world? It's something that's a birthright. It's something that just happens inside you regardless of who validates it out there in the world. When no one is buying, I am a working artist. You never let go of the life that you want just because you think that other people are telling you no. You have to become undeniable. You have to decide for yourself what will be more powerful, these circumstances or you and your belief that you can do this. And I knew that building my life would take a really long time. But as Vincent van Gogh wrote in a letter to his brother, if I'm worth anything then I am worth something now. For wheat is wheat, even if it looks like grass in the beginning. So I want you to reflect on the past 2 weeks and ask yourself, what's something that's working for you right now in your creative life? And while you're journaling, I really want you to know that this is an area that you want to lean into, do more of, get more small wins this way, energize yourself, and let this success snowball for you. To think about something that didn't quite work out within the last 2 weeks. And what is one small thing that you can do about it? The goal here isn't to criticize, but to simply observe. It can be towards your business or towards your creative practice, because those are kind of two separate things. I can talk more about that in the future perhaps. But for instance, in my own creative life, my print sales have been doing pretty well, but I do want to increase sales for my original paintings at art markets. And so what am I gonna do about that? Make sure you're subscribed, because that's the next video. I'm gonna be making a studio vlog where I walk you through something new I'm trying out for my art markets to try to increase the sales for my original paintings. Will it work? Who's to say? Guess you just gotta stick around and find out. I don't know, maybe perhaps. If this video resonated with you, I do want to encourage you to click the like button, subscribe, remind the internet that cozy little corners like this one do exist. We are here for slow, sustainable growth towards the life that you choose. If you enjoyed this video, I also made a cool video which is called My Honest Thoughts on Pricing Your Art, which is just some encouragement, honestly, overall, for you to believe in your worth whenever you are putting the price tag on your artwork, because I know how hard and daunting that task can be sometimes. As always, spending any amount of time here on this channel with me is a gift. I really do consider it a gift, and for that, this humble artist says thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh. Have you subscribed yet? I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Listen. Girls gotta help girls out. Did you see my shirt? It says exactly like other girls. Me and you, bestie. Me and you. Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you something. I have a Small Joys Club that's super cool and fun, and I know that you would like it. Link in the description to learn more, but I mail out letters every single month, and I don't know. I think it's time for you to get your own letter. I don't know about you. It's just the price of a cup of coffee these days, you know? Like, it's chillin'. If you want cool art like those art prints behind me, I make little versions of them and I mail them to you. And I write you a letter and I'm like, hey, you got this. Your monthly small joy reminder. And that will... Tazo. As someone who... Okay, Tazo, don't step on my stuff, please. I'm begging you not to. I'm begging you not to step on my stuff. As if this title will deliver me my happiness and fulfillment. Ah, la la la. I can't say fulfillment.